So today's topic is for us to talk about the 5 conversations that I think every business owner, specifically every coach, should have every week. Every single week. And before I dive into those 5 conversations, first of all, you don't have to have these conversations, but if you want to create predictable clients in your business, that is predictable sales, that is not having to wonder where your next sale is going to come from, you're going to want to start these conversations, these 5 conversations every single week. So I want to start off with asking you a question, and that is, how many meaningful conversations did you have within your business in the last week? That excludes conversations with existing clients, and that excludes things like comments, story replies, meaningful conversations. Because I think that the future of coaching as a whole, the entire coaching industry, belongs to building meaningful relationships in our businesses through conversations, not just through audiences. That doesn't mean funnels are dead. That doesn't mean online marketing doesn't work. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be talking and marketing and selling en masse at scale. But what that does mean is that I think that moving into the second half of 2026 and into 2027, you will want to double down on establishing meaningful conversations and thus rethinking your entire business in terms of how can I serve my community at a higher level and how can I establish more opportunities to be in conversation with my audience, sometimes via a one-to-many opportunity and oftentimes one-to-one. Why? The internet is done and over with the attention economy. It's no longer easy to gain attention online. So waiting for attention is no longer a good and an empowered metric to look at. Content itself no longer sells because anyone can create content using AI in 2026. So attention by itself, content by itself no longer gets you across the finish line. We are now in a trust economy. We're now in an economy where the thing that sells is not the quote unquote leverage that you can borrow from the level at which you are visible. The thing that sells in this market is trust and your ability to establish trust both at scale and one to and maybe your ability to get healthy, who knows. So for years, the common advice that was out there, that frankly is still out there, because a lot of people are slow to update their strategies. Some people never update the strategies that they teach, but that's neither here nor there. For years, we heard things like grow your audience, build your funnel, launch more often, post more content. Posting still works, launching still works, your funnels will still work, and yes, having more eyes on your offer, of course, still supports the growth of your revenue. But things have changed. With AI, content is just another thing to create. So consumers have become more discerning over the last few years. Besides AI, thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of coaches have entered the market. This is an unregulated market. Anyone can call themselves a coach. Not everyone should call themselves a coach, though, right? So a lot of consumers have been burned by low quality or medium quality coaches that made much bigger promises than they were able to uphold. So trust is at an all-time low, which means you get to establish trust as a main priority of what you do in your business. Trust is built most quickly via a conversation. Now, there's other factors that contribute to trust that can play into your ability to sell that have nothing to do with conversations. One factor is for you to talk about the same topic. and not, today I'm a life coach, tomorrow I'm a business coach. Another is for you to show up consistently, right? Consistently showing up, not I'm going to post today and then I'm going to leave my community hanging for the next 2 weeks because I didn't feel like posting. Can't do that. It's going to lose your trust, right? So everything that we've learned about business in the past still matters. We just now have to put that focus of establishing trust at the very, very top of our priorities as a business owner. Relationships create trust. Conversations create trust. One of the fastest way to move someone from being a follower to being a buyer of your product is by simply getting them on a no strings attached connection call to get to know them better. So you want to start asking, who already knows me that I haven't intentionally served yet, that I haven't intentionally connected with in the last few weeks? If you begin to ask yourself that question internally and act on the answer, it's going to already change a lot of things in your business. So notice with that too, that shifts the problem you're solving for. You're no longer having to solve for, I need more leads. You now get to solve for, I get to serve the people that are already in my community at a much higher level and therefore make better sales or more sales. So here are the 5 conversations that I think every coach should be having minimum once a week. You should be having a meaningful conversation with a former client once a week. It's conversation number 1. They already know, like, and trust you, and they have bought from you. So they have gained double the amount of trust in your product from the inside. So you reconnect with them in a meaningful way without selling them, without asking for anything, but to connect, to celebrate, to get an update on where they're at, to ask how they're doing, and to learn what's changed in their life. For example, hey Sarah, you crossed my mind today. I was wondering how things have been unfolding since we worked together. What's this season of life looking like for you? You want to stay top of mind with your best buyers. You also want to understand how you can continue to serve your former clients even though they currently don't work with you. The only way you can do that is if you know where they're at in their life. Conversation number 2, a warm lead. This is someone who either through a comment or through a conversation that you've had with them in the DMs in the past has indicated that they're at the very least having the problem that you solve for and are interested in getting their problem solved, potentially by you, right? So this is someone who's downloaded something, attended a workshop, replied to a story, asked about coaching, booked a call, almost bought. So these people, most people will literally send like an obnoxious amount of emojis. I've literally received that. I received one of those GIFs that said, "Are you ready to buy?" No. Unfollow. Block. Don't do that. So instead, you simply ask, you came to mind today. Last time we spoke, we were working towards A, B, and C, and I'm curious, how have things unfolded for you since? You check in on their progress. Because also, they may no longer need the thing that you help people with. So, that's meaningful conversation number 2. One is a former client, one is a warm lead. Number 3, a referral partner. Do not sleep on referrals. Think of ways in which you can borrow trust. A referral partner is one of the highest degrees of trust that you can build or ask to tap into. Earlier today, I was giving a workshop here in town in person. And at the end of the workshop, which was a free workshop, I pitched one of my programs, Clients Without Audience, which is an absolutely amazing offer for a coach who is not quite ready to step into a long-term commitment with me, but who wants to just get a beautiful cash injection and get started with their lead generation. So this is a $249 offer, and it offers you private support by me for an entire week to help you with your lead generation. And we literally go and find your leads, We go and connect to your leads. I help you understand why you're feeling iffy about sales. I help you see missed opportunities for sales within your DMs. And I guide you through, literally with scripts and with written for you messages, guide you through how to turn a cold lead into, at the very least, a sales call, if not even a paying client. And in the past, the clients who stepped through Clients Without Audience have had really amazing results. Now, it's one thing for me to put these results on the board, which I did. But in this workshop today, remember, I'm sharing this with you as a story of what it looks like to speak with a referral partner and to have people refer to you, through which you can borrow the trust that your referral partners have in you. Like making a sale to someone who's been referred to me by a former client or by someone who can vouch for me, such an easy sale. So today during the workshop, as I was pitching that offer, one of my clients who was in the room, who had gone through Clients Without Audiences, interrupted me bravely and vouched for me. She said, I just want to say I took this offer. I was absolutely blown away by the level of support that Dina provides. I found a slew of leads and this is so amazing. You should absolutely do it. I highly recommend it. This is such an easy investment. You're going to get your investment returned. I'm still working through all of the relationships that I built. And it's just such an amazing injection of momentum and cash in your business. Highly recommend. You should go and buy Clients Without Audience. She did my job for me. I didn't have to sell the offer after that. All I had to say is, here's the offer. Here's the promotion code for you. Go and buy. We can start next week. Now, I didn't ask her to do that. That sweet, sweet person just did that out of the kindness of your heart and because she truly was served by me in the past. So your third meaningful conversation should be one that you have at least once a week with someone who has referred to you in the past, or someone who's never referred to you in the past but knows just how good the work that you do for your clients is. So either you reach out to a former referral partner and say, I just wanted to thank you again for introducing X, Y, and Z to me. We were able to have an amazing conversation. We actually now get to work together. And this couldn't have happened without you. So I'm so honored to serve this person and just want to thank you again for making this connection. Since you are obviously connected to some amazing people, and as a thank you to you, I want to extend to you an invitation to offer up to 2 people in your network that you think could benefit from me a free coaching conversation with me as a thank you to you. I have these spots available for 2 members of your community for next week. Who do you know who would benefit the most from this gift? That's one way of asking a former referral partner for yet another referral. You can ask for a referral from a current client, from a former client, even from someone who hasn't bought from you but considered buying from you. Why not? Like, the way I think of referrals is I'm going to ask the person that inspires me the most for a referral, because if they're inspiring, that means they have other inspiring people in their world. If they're absolutely killing it in their business, that means they must be connected to other business owners who are ready to just really go after their goals in business. So, your first meaningful conversation that you should have every week is for you to reach out to a former client. The second is for you to reach out to a warm lead. Again, someone who's downloaded something, someone who's had a conversation with you, who booked a call with you in the past but hasn't closed. Second meaningful conversation, we just talked about the third meaningful conversation, and that is to have a conversation with a referral partner. Now, another way to approach a referral partner is backwards. You can say, I want to thank you again for this referral, blah, blah, blah. This is how it worked out. I just want to be in touch with you and see who is someone that you are looking to be connected with and how can I be of support to you? Or you can say, what are you building right now and how can I be of support to you? Give back right? You can give back by offering additional calls, but you can give back in an even more direct way, because what goes around comes around. So lean into the law of reciprocity in this way. Conversation number 4. Mirella, I see you, and it's so beautiful to have you join my life today. Let me know if you have any questions. Absolutely, let me know where you're calling or joining in from today. If any of this lands for you, if you have questions, then just let me know in the comments, or you can message me in the DMs after. I'd love to hear from you privately. So, conversation number 4. Start a conversation every week with someone who's already engaging with your content. See, this is where so many coaches miss a huge opportunity, right? You think of the comments that you get on your social media as like, oh, a friend comments. And you just respond as a friend and socially, and you say, yay, that's so great. And you leave it at that. Or even worse, you don't respond at all to the comments on your post. People who are commenting on your post are actively raising their hand and saying, I like what you do resonates with you, I gain value from what you do, thank you. Reach out to these people. First of all, if you're not doing this already, then engage with them in a meaningful way, in a leadership based way in the comments. Ask an open-ended question in the comments, respond to them, acknowledge them. Think of them, don't coach obviously, but have a hat of your coaching hat on and go, okay, great. How can I ask an open-ended question here? How can I acknowledge this person? How can I compliment this person? Can I share a link to a resource in the public comment for this person based on what they just said? But then take it a step further. Take it into the DMs and say, hey, so-and-so, I saw you've been engaging on some of my posts specifically on the topic of. I'm just so glad that you raised your hand and shared a little bit about where you're at with this. I'm curious. What are you doing to work towards this right now in your life? Of course, you'll customize this based on the actual comment, right? If they're sharing about a pain, you share empathetically and say, I'm so sorry that you've been dealing with this. I want to check in. What are you already doing to help you alleviate this pain? If there's anything that any resource I can point you to, or a free resource I can share with you from my assets, I'd be so happy to do that. Let me know where you're at. That's your 4th meaningful conversation. So we have former clients, warm leads, referral partners, and followers that are engaging on your content. Number 5. Now, this is going to seem a little out of left field. Bear with me on this. Someone from your past. Someone from your past. See, when we think of building a business, of course our mind goes to sales. And therefore, of course, our mind goes to, who can I reach out to become a client of mine? But I want you to zoom way out from there and consider what business really is. Business is leadership. Business requires you to step into your CEO shoes. What does a CEO do? A CEO strategically, every day, a good CEO, strategically, every day is out for lunch to establish meaningful partnerships and relationships that they can later call on, that they can build collaborations with, that they can send business to. And remember the law of reciprocity. If the business doesn't come back from that one partner, it's going to come back to you from another partner. That is what a CEO does. Back at my old job, our CEO was out for lunch all the time. All the time. And that CEO would come back with checks. I worked for a nonprofit, so we were soliciting donations. Out for lunch all the time. That's where relationships were made. That's where deals were made. Over a glass of wine, out for lunch. Now, you don't have to go around having glasses of wine with people. You get to simply hop on a Zoom to reconnect with a person from your past, because you never know where they're at right now. They could become a client based on where they're at right now. You don't know. You could help them with something, the law of reciprocity, lead with service, or lead your business, lead your life with service. They could help you with something. You could end up on their podcast. They could end up on you just don't know. You want to spread the message of what you're doing, of the purpose that you're pursuing, the impact that you're creating for your community as wide as possible. When you can, of course, be strategic about it. But especially if you're just starting out, where you have a week where you don't have a lot of client calls, use that week to reconnect with former client, university friend, an old not networking contact, a former manager, a former podcast guest, an old client. Life's long. We've been here for a few decades. Reach out to someone from your past, see where they're at. And you could say something simple like, hey, you crossed my mind today, and I realized it's been years since we caught up. I'd love to hear what you're building these days. Easy peasy. So we have a former client, a warm lead, a referral partner. Damn, my memory! It's not working today. Someone from your past and someone who is engaging with your content. Those are 5 conversations that honestly my clients start 10 times over every single day. Now, that requires a system and that requires a whole framework to do it in a way so that it's sustainable and you don't burn out from it. If you're interested in learning that system and those 2 frameworks that I teach my clients, by all means, I would love for you to be someone who steps into that private experience that I just named, the Clients Without Audiences experience. That is a 1 week long private implementation experience, doing which you basically go from, I don't know where my next client is coming from, to having implemented a predictable client pipeline. And yes, you get the trainings, you get the framework, but not only that, because information is simply not enough to get to where you want to get to. You get a full week of personalized one-on-one private implementation with me. We go through every DM. We go through every block that you come up against internally. I point out things where you recoil into your social self and thus might be losing a sale otherwise. We work through the feelings that come up when 5 people just said no to an offer. And we make sure that you're connected to enough people, that you're qualifying enough people, that you're serving enough people, and that you don't forget the piece that most clients forget, which is to make active invitations into your offers, both free and paid. That experience, I have 1 spot available for that experience for next week starting on Monday. Clients Without Audience, if that's not a good time for you, you can go ahead and plug in right now. You'll gain access to the trainings and we can be flexible with the week during which you start your implementation week. That's Clients Without Audience. The investment is at $249, an absolute steal given the results that you might be able to create through that. So, with these 5 conversations, again, I'm asking you to create these conversations at least once a week, every week. With the right system and with the right framework, you could work yourself up to creating these types of conversations literally 10 times over a day, 50 times a day. That is what's going to lead to creating a predictable pipeline of clients. And who wouldn't want that? And yes, you can do this at scale. Yes, you can do this for one-on-one client work. Yes, you can do this for a course. Yes, you can do this for a membership. And yes, you can do this side by side with your bigger launches. In fact, that is what I recommend to my clients for scaling from one-to-one beyond. So what's the lesson here? Notice how none of the conversations that I suggested you start this week start with, do you want to buy from me? Which might seem counterintuitive because aren't we here to create more clients? Yes, we are here to create more clients. Starting with, do you want to buy from me, isn't going to help you create more clients. But I think you know that in your heart already. All of these conversations I suggested for you to start today don't start here with, please buy from me. They start with curiosity. because you need to know if someone has a problem that you solve for, and if someone wants to solve the problem that you solve for. Once you know that, you can make an offer much more easily. And you want to make sure that you serve and therefore establish trust with your lead. Once those two places are established, you know that they want to solve the problem that you solve for in your business, and you've built rapport by building trust via serving your lead. Now, making an offer is just the natural next step. It's simply the natural next step. So if you want to sell more, lead with more service, lead with more curiosity. The more you do that at the front end, at scale, via things like a live stream or one-on-one in a DM, the more opportunities you're going to create for yourself within the next 30 days or so to make offers to warm leads every single day. And when you do that consistently, what you do is you create consistent opportunities to serve. And when you create consistent opportunities to serve, sales stop feeling random. They become predictable. And that's the difference between posting and ghosting, which is what most coaches are taught to do, and posting, engaging, serving, qualifying, inviting. And now you know what the most amazing thing is about this? This process, this approach is AI proof. Premium clients are always going to gravitate towards the person that they gain the most trust in, not towards the person that uses AI the best. This process is algorithm proof. You can continue this process even if the internet goes away, even if you lose your account. This process is also going to reveal who you are on the inside. It's going to reveal the spots within your leadership that still need reinforcement and strengthening. This process is going to call on your highest self, on your highest leader. And through that, this process not only accelerates the number of sales you can make in your business, but it accelerates putting you on the path you have to get on in order to pull yourself forward towards becoming the leader that all of your future business goals require you to become. So it's an all-rounder approach to business. You want to be intentionally building your leadership and your client pipeline. This process takes care of both. So again, if tonight has shown you that you probably are already sitting on a shitload of opportunities, not only to serve, but even to invite people to either a connection call or to straight up work with you, but you're not sure how to turn that realization into a predictable client pipeline, then again, I'd love to invite you to Clients Without Audience. This is the space, the one and only space where you can spend an entire week with me and create as many client or lead conversations as humanly possible. We take away all friction. We infuse your business with opportunity, with cash, with action, and with momentum so that you can go from, I don't know where the next client is going to come from, to clients always work with me, to I know exactly where the next client is going to come from. Maybe I don't know who that next client is, but I know the actions I'm taking today will lead inevitably to clients tomorrow. So if you're curious about joining Clients Without Audience, you can go ahead and comment clients in the comments of this live stream, or you can go ahead and message me about it. And of course, beyond Clients Without Audience, the offer I just introduced, if you have questions about anything that I shared today, then by all means, message me privately, comment below in the live stream. I would love to hear from you, what questions you have, what landed for you, and therefore I would love to hear from you how I can continue to serve you. I genuinely love serving my audience. And the best way for me to be able to serve you is to hear from you what you need support with. So, Mirella, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry if I'm slightly mispronouncing your name. It's an absolute pleasure to have had you in my audience today. I'd love to hear from you further beyond this live stream. I hope this was helpful. And to anyone who watches this after the fact, please let me know what landed. If you're a subscriber, you'll get my next article this Saturday. I have a very, very special guest on my live stream next Thursday. We will be talking about how to create promotional offers in your business. And if you're not subscribed, then what are you doing? Speak to you soon. Bye bye.